I remember seeing a documentary a couple of years ago on Fox News back when Tucker used to work there. If you guys know what I'm talking about, please link it in the comment section. It was talking about America's tech industry, and it interviewed a couple of people working there. One of them was a black lady, and she was very upset about the current trend in hiring. She was pointing out how people who work there for a while, they eventually start getting higher and higher pay. And as the pay gets higher, eventually they get fired for bullshit reasons. And then they are replaced with H-1B visa workers, probably mostly coming from India. And the reason for this is that the work is cheaper. And so you end up with people that are going to have to train their replacements, and it's very humiliating. And this interview got a bit of traction at the time, and then it died out. Like, no one talked about it. I haven't seen anyone mention it because it is mostly specific to the tech industry. But recently, that conversation seems to have resurfaced on Twitter with Trump's nominee for AI advisor, which publicly stated that he wants to remove the cap on H-1B visa. So, like, up until now, there was a limit, there was a number to how many legal immigrants could come with a H-1B visa, and they want to remove that. And so Elon Musk weighed in, and he is on the side that it's a good thing. Now, obviously, when you attach yourself to the movement, which is promoting the concept of America first, and part of that means economy. So, in other words, bring back manufacturing in the United States, make sure that unemployment is low, make sure that people have jobs. Well, that movement probably doesn't appreciate the idea that, well, actually, America isn't capable of producing engineers. Like, even though the population is 350 million or so, we just don't have the talent. Like, throughout the entire nation, is like, there is not enough talent for the needs of Silicon Valley. The needs of Silicon Valley are so great, so huge, that they need to recruit from the rest of the world. It's not just insulting, but a lot of people, as we can see here, have weighed in. And so you can have posts like this, which have 2.2 million views, and if you actually go into the comment section, you will see that many others are saying, yeah, this is happening to me as well. So, it's just a guy on the internet. We don't know if what he is saying is true or not, but it seems to be resonating with a lot of people, and it's also resonating with that interview that I saw on Fox News. And he says that now that H-1B visas have become a topic of discussion, here's my story. I was born in Appalachia, went to a top-tier university. I interned in wealth management and trading. I recruited for all top investment banks and research firms. Only offer I received was to cold call South American high net worth individuals on a commission-based salary. All my foreign-born friends, however, and classmates got the jobs I dreamed of and worked my whole life for. They weren't more skilled than me. In fact, most were less skilled. Here's what America's identity politics mindset played through. Like, identity politics in America are Schrodinger's identity politics. On one hand, companies are bragging and they're praising the fact that they have diversified their workforce. On the other hand, they deny the fact that they're not hiring people like this guy, right? So it really depends on who you ask. But he's basically saying that 6 months after graduation, I took a $15 hour job at a geopolitical analysis startup. I received zero equity. Worked late night shifts for $60,000 a year, slept on the floor of that office many nights, lost money for 3 years straight. After 5 years, I was then a tenured employee at the company, other than the founders. Finally got up to $80,000 a year, and then I was fired within a year of relocating of them across the country. Many of my foreign-born classmates were extremely successful, investment bankers and financial professionals by this point, jumping from JP Morgan to Facebook to private equity, etc. Once again, I applied everywhere, including Plantier and government agencies, and I was extremely qualified for. I didn't get a single interview anywhere, not even low-level data analysis position. And here's the point. The very people telling you that we need more H-1B are the exact same people who wouldn't even give me an interview despite having impeccable qualifications. And this is where the conversation is now going. It's like, okay, well, you're saying that the people that come with visas to work in America are more qualified, they're better, like America doesn't have engineers. However, like, none of you guys are even taking me to an interview. Like none of you guys even give me the chance to prove if I'm a good employee or not. And again, there's so many people that are coming in and they are basically saying the same thing. And so the conclusion that many on the internet are taking is that, number one, it's not about quality. It's simply about the salary. And number two, it's also about identity politics, right? Like, companies want to pride themselves on having diversity, and people like Jay here isn't qualified, isn't born correctly in order to help them achieve the diversity goal. And again, I don't know if it's the case or not. I haven't seen a study based on this besides that Fox News expose. But it does seem like a lot of people are coming out and they're saying, yeah, no, like, this is the case. If you're a straight white man, it's very difficult to get a job because people don't even call you to an interview. And so Elon Musk weighs in on the side of the H-1B visas, and it makes sense, right? Like, he is a businessman, he's part of the multi-million-dollar corporations. Like, obviously, he's going to want cheap employment. Obviously, he's going to want to have the biggest recruitment pool available. And as you can see, he posts here, no, we need more like double the number of engineers, right? Like, he says there's just not enough engineers in America. And the solution doesn't seem to, like, how do we train more? How do we get it up to the point where we can compete with the rest of the world? Because it seems that other countries are just dominating us when it comes to intellectual people. Like, despite the fact that we have hundreds of millions of citizens, we're just not capable. Like, we just cannot, you know? Maybe we did won the space race in the past. Maybe America dominated the world culturally in the past. But, like, we're in the now. And in the now, we're just demolished by Asia. Like they just have something that we don't. And so the only solution moving forward is to hire from their countries. Like, take their workers, take their smart people, because we just cannot match. And this is on the side that Elon Musk seems to be. He is basically saying that there's not enough engineers in the US. The number of people who are super talented engineers and super motivated in the US is far too low. Think of this like a pro sports team. If you want your team to win the championship, you need to recruit top talent, whatever they may be. Well, actually, I would point out that except a few places in Europe, I think that a lot of Americans would be livid if you took a sports team, like an NBA team or something like that, and you started hiring only people from abroad. You wouldn't even consider homegrown athletes. And you just hire people from abroad, saying that they're better. Yeah, I think the fans would be pissed. I think like maybe, you know, you hire one or two, okay, but if you are going to like just do it systemically and consistently, yeah, I think a lot of people would get upset after a while. I think like a lot of people would be like, well, hold on a little bit, it's an American team. Why do you keep doing this? Like, what is up with this pattern? And so he got response from other people saying, my son graduated with honors with electrical and computer engineering degrees. In 2023, he cannot get an interview, let alone a job. Any white male knows that in college you can't get jobs either. Many are currently working in data center jobs that don't require an education. So my analysis from this is that, first of all, I expected this. I mean, again, Elon Musk is a business person. He owns multi-billion-dollar companies. Anyone that didn't think that this is the way he thinks wasn't living on this planet. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But what is interesting, however, is that the man seems, at least so far, to genuinely believe in free speech. It doesn't seem like the people on Twitter have their fingers on the scale of the platform. Like, if this happened under Jack Dorsey, let's say like Jack Dorsey was Joe Biden's right-hand man or something, and people were pressing him on a political issue, then the algorithm would just suppress the controversy. Right now, Elon Musk is trending in a very negative way. A lot of people are pushing back against him. But there's no censorship. Like, no one is getting banned. No one is getting blocked. Elon Musk is getting fact-checked. So, from the point of view of Twitter as a platform, yeah, I think he actually does mean when he says he wants public discourse. Obviously, it's not a free speech platform. Obviously, there are still things that you can say which will get you banned. Obviously, there are special interest groups, you guys know what I'm talking about, that don't allow all the political discourse. But when it comes to, at least this issue, it doesn't seem that there's any suppression. The problem that I think America has, and this is something that I don't think it will ever be fixed, because at this point, it's so ingrained into American politics that if you change this, you would destabilize the system. And what I mean with this is California. California, I would compare it to Saudi Arabia. They have a very virulent religion. Saudi Arabia has Wahhabism and Islam, while California has wokeism, a very virulent, strong strain of woke ideology, which promotes identity politics and dictates how it is moral to do hirings at a company. And then Saudi Arabia has oil, while California has Silicon Valley. And oil produces the wealth, while Silicon Valley produces also cash. But then when you look at it, you notice a huge disparity in income inequality, right? So despite the fact that Saudi Arabia is very wealthy, it's got income inequality, especially with the workers. And then when you look at California, you have a lot of income inequality. You have a huge population of homeless, but then you have very, very wealthy people at the extremes. And so the reason for this is the government protections. It's not the H-1B visas. That's the problem. The problem is that if you want to start your own Facebook, if you want to start your own YouTube, if you want to start your own Google, there are so many regulations in place that it is impossible for almost any company to do it. And even if you do manage to pull it off, then there's also the cultural trend that you have to fight against. Like even if you were to put up a really amazing product that's got a slick interface and it's able to work properly, people still may not join. And so the overregulation is the issue, because at the end of the day, like I know it's easy to dismiss this as bigots or xenophobes or whatever the fuck. To me, it doesn't seem like these individuals have a cultural problem. Like, they're not complaining. I mean, maybe some are, I don't know, but at least on Twitter, I don't see them as complaining about the behavior of their colleagues that come with worker visas. Like, they're not saying they're bad people. They're not saying that they're difficult to work with. Like, again, I'm sure that some are, but these aren't the complaints that are trending. The complaints that are trending seem to be about people terrified over the fact that they cannot get jobs. That they finish a university and they're applying everywhere, they're looking everywhere for a position, and they don't get invited to an interview. And they look around and they see that their colleagues, as they mentioned, the colleagues that are foreigners, they do pretty great. Like, they do very well. And so these people are horrified with the prospect. It's like, okay, well, I'm not going to get a job, but I do have a son, I have a family. Like, they're not going to get a job either. And then the question is like, okay, but what do I do? Like, I want to work. I want to do something. I like the job. I want to be a coder. Like, how can I be a coder? Well, what can I do? And it seems that there is no answer for them. Like, the answer is like, well, America lacks people like you, so we're just going to get more people with a visa. And it's like, well, that's great, but what about me? And you have this situation. This is, the effects of neoliberalism, I guess. It's kind of worldwide. I remember the same situation happening in the UK. See, I come from a country that doesn't have this problem. Like, our problem in Romania is not with immigrants. Our problem is the opposite. It's with emigration. Like, most of our workers, they live for Europe, for the European Union, in order to do manual agricultural work in Germany, in Spain, in the UK. A lot of our doctors are leaving in order to work in Germany and France. And so our problem is the reverse. Like, we're getting brain drained. Like, our country is being deprived of intellectual people. It's being deprived of manual labor. And so our problem is in reverse, but we do understand the issue. And during COVID, one of the big problems was with the fruit pickers in the UK. And the fruit pickers in the UK, they, like, this is something that the press usually doesn't tell the public, and it's very interesting. They were incentivized by the government to hire work from Britain. And so they opened around like 3,000 or 9,000 positions. And in the end, they said, well, I mean, we opened these places and we only got like 10 people coming in. And it's just like British people are lazy. They just cannot pick fruits. Like, for the entire history of Britain, people have picked fruits, but now for some reason they just don't want to. And if someone actually went and looked at the hiring requirements, you had to know either Romanian or Bulgarian to be considered. Their justification was like, well, we work with Romanian and Bulgarians, and in order to be integrated in the workforce, you need to speak one of these languages. And then you realize what's going on, right? Like what was going on was the fact that they wanted to pay people below minimum wage. And in order to do so, you hire from abroad, and you give them like some barracks in your farm. Like, you make them sleep in barracks, and you make them eat at your place. And obviously, like, that money is going to be deducted from the wage, right? So you're not paying them below minimum wage. No. You're basically deducting from their minimum wage the housing and the accommodations. Now they don't have a choice in it. They can't say, well, no, it's fine. I'll sleep on my own cash at the hotel or something. No, they cannot do that. And then you also can force them to work more than 8 hours. Because, again, they're on your property, right? And you can wake them up early in the morning. You can make them work more than 8 hours, and you don't pay them extra. And what are they going to do? What are they going to complain? Like, you're banking on the fact that, number one, they don't know English legislation. Number two, even if they did, they're seasonal workers. Like, they don't stay there, right? Like, they work there for a couple of months and then go back home. They're not going to stay there and file a lawsuit against the company. They don't know any reporters in Britain, right? Like, they don't have friends that can be like, oh my God, what they're doing to you is illegal. You should go and complain. You should talk to a reporter. They don't have any of that, so they're being taken advantage of. Their status as foreign workers is often being taken advantage by these companies. And the left, which is the ideology that should promote them, and is the ideology that should be like, hey, wait a minute. This is not okay. They're the ones that are like, no, we need more of this. They're the ones championing the corporations. And so, I don't know if it's the same in the tech sector, but I do know that I just looked into the whole thing with the fruit pickers, because like, it boggled my brain. It's like, well, how is it possible that you can't find people to pick fruits? Like, when I was graduating high school and I was starting my university, I would have loved to have some pocket money. Like, it's seasonal work. Yeah, sure, it's difficult work. But I know many of my colleagues that went into construction and they did a little bit of work there, or they drove a car or something. Like there are people that generally want to make an extra cash. Like, how is it so difficult to find any? And then when you look into it, you realize, oh, so this is why it's difficult to find. Okay, I see. I don't know how it's like in the tech industry. I don't know why they prefer H-1B visa workers. I don't even know like how the cost of living is integrated into that. Because like, okay, fine, you're coming from India, right? And life is cheaper there. But like the moment you move to California, life goes through the roof, right? Like the prices are there. It's becoming expensive. So I don't know. I would have to look into it more closely. But what I do know is that Elon Musk is getting pushback, and there's no censorship for this. It's like he's allowing the pushback to happen, which is very interesting. And the pushback is expected. Like, you cannot latch yourself to an America First movement and not expect to be pressed on this issue. Now, the interesting thing is the fact that people are pressing him on this issue, right? Because, like, the left keep calling him President Musk, and the left keep making fun that, oh, he's got a cult of personality and he's untouchable. But no, like, I'm looking on Twitter, and I'm seeing so many people that are up in arms over this issue. So, like, no, he doesn't have a cult of personality. He's not untouchable. Like, people are legitimately pushing back when they're noticing that the ideology that he espouses doesn't really align with the opinions that he has. So let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.